Hello, 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 guys. I think we are live. Hi, guys. So, second live, but day 3 of the challenge. I've been seeing so many great portraits already in the community, guys. Super excited to be here with you today. Let me know in the chat if you see me well, you hear me well. Am I speaking too loud at the microphone? Sometimes that happens. Looking at this, maybe I can put it lower a little bit. And yeah, so today I'm going to continue to work on my witch. So yesterday we were doing the construction of the details, or construction of the concept, and today we're going to add some details, especially the lighting. That's the one part that is super important when you want to add things from imagination. So I'm going to talk about these concepts, and hopefully I'll be able to help you guys with this. I want to say hi to everybody in the chat. Ayano, Cedric, Nikki, Lola, thank you so much for being here with me, guys. All right, awesome. So I'm gonna be showing you my computer. There we go. So you should be able to see my witch. So there's one thing that I've been doing kind of after, and it's to just kind of have a cleaner sketch. So yesterday, what I finished with was just a little, I'm going to put that away, which is a little bit more like rough sketch. And today I kind of added some deeper lines to it. So that's all I did today. Today I want to show you how I'm going to add lighting. I'm going to walk you through my logic on how to understand lighting from imagination. That's a concept that is very, very well explained in the DPA. And as I'm talking about the DPA, just a quick reminder here, I have these two things I want to show you guys. We have a promotion right now. Best time to really join the DPA, as we are having 3 things that you can get: the Digital Painting Academy, the Perfect Portrait Foundation, and the One Week Portrait Masterclass, all bundled together. It gives you almost 70% off, 66% I think, for $297. If you want to have that, it's only until Tuesday, November 1st. You can also have a VIP tour of the DPA. I'm about to sneeze. Woohoo! You can only get that when you're doing live. You can also have a VIP tour where you see exactly what's inside. So if you're wondering what's inside the DPA, go check it out. Links in the description. And now that I said all that, let's get back to creation, shall we? If you're in the chat, let me know, how's your day 3 going on? Had you had trouble with kind of blending your things? Because today was rendering. Rendering and lighting are pretty close together. So I'm hoping that what I'm going to teach you today is going to help with that as well. Let me go see the chat. I'm going to move just a few things here so I can see. All right. I want to say hi to Chenge, which is our, what's the title? It's so cool. She's the wizard, social media wizard, which is pretty cool. Wizard and witches. It's pretty close, actually. So what I'm going to do, like I was saying, is I'm going to add some lighting to this. But before I do so, let me know, how's your day 3, guys? Do you have any questions about the day 3? Is there something that you would like for me to kind of go over today? I'll try to help you with this. We're also going to have a Q&A at the end. So if you have any questions about pretty much anything, I'll be there to help you as well. But for now, let me just start with this. So we have our line art here. I think I can just take that fully here. We have our line art. We have our basic colors. Everything works well. So what I want to do now is I want to add colors. I started from lighting. I started from a portrait I already did. So there's already some light direction. So the first thing I should do is kind of understanding the light direction. Now, the eyes are always the best place to kind of understand where's the light direction come from and how many lights do you have. So the reflection that I have in this eye is about here. It tells me there's about one light source, or one main light source. Obviously, this portrait is very stylized. So kind of up to me, but I can see that it's kind of a frontal kind of light source that goes on it. So what I'll do is I'm going to try to keep that same light direction. I'm going to start with the hat. I'm going to create a new layer. I'm going to kind of attach it to that hat. And I'll start with first, I'll start with first adding just a little bit of darker color. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick up this color. I'm going to shift it a little bit towards, I think towards the greens and darker. And then I'm just going to paint here a little bit. That goes under. I'm also going to take the black here to kind of mimic the occlusion shadow here. And I'm painting over everything here, but in a second what I'll do is I'm going to take my eraser and I'm going to delete this because I don't want that on top. So that's going to help me to give a little bit more depth to the hat. Obviously, this is not the only thing I'm going to do. I'm going to do a new layer here. Make sure it's attached again. And I'm going to give just kind of a rounded shape. So a great way to actually render sometimes is just to have like the kind of the sides just a little bit darker. I'm also going to add afterwards probably some bounce light into all of this. But for now, just kind of placing a basic lighting, not going into too many details, rounding up things a little bit. So yeah, so that's how it's going to look for now. Let me show you what I got so far. I'm going to put those two together, before, after. So just a little bit. There's going to be highlights to be added to this as well. And I'm starting with the hat because there's a bunch of stuff on it. So if I finish the hat first, it's going to be easier after. So I'm going to create a new layer, attach it again. I might have just a little bit of texture for this one. Something like, we have just a little bit of texture here. I'm going to pick up that color. Same thing. I'm going to do a color shift. So you already learned my recipe that I like, the L recipe. I'm going to kind of follow this. Obviously, light theory goes into a lot more details than this. How light and color affect the colors, the local colors of your elements. But for now, I can actually cheat it by just doing like, move it a little bit towards the green. And I'm going to pick up a more pale value here. And kind of just see if I can, not from too close, I'm just going to try to kind of just add some reflections here, maybe even here and here. So just adding a little bit of light at some places. Now, I'm not going to go into too many details. I might do that after the live tomorrow and kind of finish it. But for now, I really want to give you like the 80-20, right? So the 20-80, the 20% that gives 80% results. So right now, all I want is to kind of establish a little bit more form by adding that kind of 80-20 rules kind of thing. So I want to think about the 3D of the stuff. I'm going to do that to everything. And you'll see like in a second, as soon as I'm going to add some cast shadows, it's going to look very much transformed. So for now, just kind of see if I can just add a little bit of light, not too much, only on the hat. And I'll add some bounce lights afterwards. So, okay, that's good for the hat. I'm going to put those two together. Boop. And you have the before and after. So as you can see, just to add a little bit of form, it doesn't have to be complicated. I could go a lot more details and I might later, but for now, that's fine. Now I'm going to do the mushrooms. Why I'm doing the mushrooms? Because the mushroom will give me clear cast shadows on the hat here. And those cast shadows are super important for us to understand the depth of all of those elements. So I'm just going to go over my mushroom here. I'm going to create a layer under it. I'm going to take a lasso tool. The thing with cast shadows, you need to understand a little bit of perspective to be able to do them. Now, I have a very detailed module about lighting from imagination where I teach you how to apply cast shadows from imagination with perspective. And it's not that complicated. Now, I'm not going to show you here today. That'd be way too long. But if you are in the DPA, you can go check it out. And if you're not in the DPA, then once again, this is the perfect time. There is a huge promotion online right now that you can get out. But for now, I'm going to give you like the 80-20 like I was saying. So what I want to do is I want to have just a cast shadow based on the light direction. I'm going to eyeball it for now. So just something maybe like this. I'm thinking just a little bit. We'll see how that goes. I'm going to take that color, kind of make it darker and just kind of fill it up. That might be too dark. Let me go just something like that. You know what? Actually, I'm going to take that and go darker maybe. Or something like that. Let me see how that looks. More or less. I'm going to go with multiply and I'm going to add, I'm just going to bring down the opacity. And that's kind of okay. The cast shadow is not perfect right now, but it gives me the depth that I'm looking for. It might just need some tweaking. And this one is kind of important because it's kind of the first one that people will see. So I want to make sure that it just kind of makes a little bit more sense. And for that, it's just like I need to shape it a little bit differently, I guess. So that's what I'll do. I'm just going to make sure I have the right color here. And kind of, I might just take a hard edge brush for this. As I'm going through this, if you have a question about all of this, just a reminder that I'll have a Q&A later, that if you have any question, I'll go over them. So that's for that. I'm thinking that maybe this one should be closer here. Something like that. And also I'm going to add like volume on the mushroom after that. But that cast shadow for now is what I'm after. I'm going to do another one here. Kind of like this. Doesn't have to be perfect. Once again, I'm going to fill that up. That's fine. This one here. Now, as I'm doing the cast shadow, I want to think about I have one light source and it's going to kind of fan out the ray of lights. So probably if my shadows are kind of directly behind my object here, here is going to be a little bit more on the side as it fan out. So I'm probably going to have like the cast shadow just a little bit towards the side here. Something like that, I'm assuming. So that's pretty good. I could also do the birdie here. Once again, it fans out, so probably that I'll have the cast shadow very close to the subject, but kind of on top here, something like that. So that's pretty good. So you see that one layer is super important because even though it's very subtle, it creates some depth, which is super important. All right, let's add a little bit more volume to these mushrooms, shall we? So I'm just going to go over the mushrooms here. I'm going to create a new layer, put the layer on top, and I'm going to start with a soft round brush. Now, the soft round brush, there's always a trap. If you do too much of it, it's going to look too soft. So just be careful with this. But I'm going to start with that, kind of go a little bit darker and see if I can just kind of just round up the corners maybe a little bit. Just a tiny bit to kind of add some volume to it. Same thing, but I think the most important thing that I'll have to do here is going to be to add the highlights on it, which I'll do in a minute. For now, just adding kind of some shadows here and there. And then for the highlights, I'm going to keep my texture brush. Now, why am I keeping texture brush for the highlights? Highlights is where you see the texture. Now, there's that thing that happens when you're doing light or you're painting light is your eyes will usually focus on the place that has the most contrast, which is usually the highlights. The shadow, you have less contrast. So it's a natural thing to put textures and details in the light part, highlights, specular highlights, those kind of things, more than in the shadows. So that's the reason why I'm going to just have a little bit of a texture in the highlights to kind of mimic that effect where you see a little bit more details in there. Now, these are mushroom. I don't want to make them too sparkly or anything. Just maybe just a tiny bit more of like kind of a patch of light coming a little bit on them. Once again, we're chasing the 80-20 here. So not going over the board. And for this one, I may just kind of, because it's in front of us, I might just kind of, put a little bit more intention on it. But overall, just keeping things really rough. Now there's something here that I need to do. Can you guess what? I'll give you a few seconds. I need to add a cast shadow, guys. So these two are overlapping. So super important to have a cast shadow under them. Have a cast shadow also over them if they are overlapping, right? So I'm going to take that, try to find a color for the cast shadow here, and I'm kind of going to paint just a kind of a line here, kind of cast shadow created by the mushroom. Now, it might not be completely accurate, but it's fine. It doesn't have to be perfect. Same thing here. You might have like a cast shadow that goes over the stem. So I'm going to pick that up and kind of painting that. So once you understand light theory, you'll be able to kind of do those things. And it's really just kind of, once you understand the different parts of light, such as cast shadow, occlusion shadows, form light, form shadows, all those things, which are all taught in the academy, by the way, you'll be able to kind of go through the list. And it's really just a question of like putting them one by one on the from the list. Same thing here. I can kind of add just a little bit of maybe some light right here. Just trying to see if I can just do something like this. Might have a little bit of a light there, a little bit of light there, but I don't want to go over the board. I'll be able to tweak that later. Same thing here, a little bit of this. This probably would have to be kind of, I'm gonna take that color actually. Maybe that's kind of darker here. Something like that. And I'm gonna try to kind of, I'm not gonna finish it all today. So my goal is kind of just to show you like a few places on how you can add those things. But cast shadow is probably the one thing that is going to make a huge difference. Huge difference as soon as you add them. All right, so let's put that here as well, something like that. And then quick highlight, quick highlight, quick highlight there. Could definitely add some more highlights like on these mushroom eventually. But for now, just a little patch like this of color, kind of as a more like a placeholder reminder of things. Like I would have to do those things as well. Let's add some highlights on the belt here. So I'm going to create a new layer, plug it in there. And this one's going to be kind of easy. Taking just some black, I'm assuming, and just kind of adding some of this, some of that here. And what I'll do, I'll try to mimic a little bit of that, like cast shadow here. You know, so all of these will really kind of create some separation on all these elements. And that's why cast shadows are so important. They will create just really that depth that you're looking for. So that's good. Let's see if I can do something with the metal. Now, metal is one thing that can be very complicated. The reason why is because it's acting basically as a mirror. So what it does, it reflects the colors and the lights and basically any objects that are in front of it. Now, depending if it's like completely polished, like a mirror, or a little bit more grainy texture of metal like rust, you'll have different effect to play with. But you can always think about that the colors will be on top of it. So for an example, if I were to think about the bottom plane of this buckle right here, okay? Is that a buckle? Yes, that's a buckle. I'm going to create a top layer, put it on top. Well, the bottom plane will have some reflective light coming from the hat. So to do this, I'm taking actually the blue of the hat and I'm just painting there. And I know that they will mix some sort. It might not be that exactly, but I'm not looking for perfect realism here. But just understanding the rules, such as there's bounce light and it bounces on the object, that's going to help you. Then I'll make sure to kind of have some shadow on the side here. Here, that's going to bounce from there. That might bounce there. And what I'll do is I'm probably going to create a new layer. I'll try to just have like a quick and dirty effect of light. I might just take a color dodge and see what's the effect that it does. I don't want to go over the board. I'm going to use a texture brush once again because I'm trying to make something with more texture for this. I want to mimic like metal. And I might just try to get something that just something like that. So something like rusty a little bit. And then I'm just going to take a hard edge brush, try to go a little bit higher in value, and kind of, yeah, add specular highlights on that thing in a few places, a few corners, things like that. Always thinking about the light direction, that's super important, obviously. And obviously making the line disappear would help here, but I'm just not going to do that now because 80-20 is what I'm trying to do today. So so that's for the buckle right here. But to this, I could definitely push. Definitely, like the first thing I'm going to do after this live to push this illustration is find reference photo, guys. Reference photos is what you need when you don't know how to paint something. If you don't have the imagination to do it, it's not because you're not able to do it from imagination. It's because you don't have the reference pictures in your memory, right? The late artist Kim Jong-hee, what he was able to do was basically to recollect all the images that he had in his head. So let's all learn from him and kind of start with references. And then what you want to do is kind of have that memory bank. So hopefully this is making clear now. Where could I'm going to do some hair a little bit just to show you how I would kind of approach it. So I think there's one thing with hair is when you add lighting from imagination in hair, because I don't have a reference of this hair right now, people are panicking and they're starting to add a lot of details, when in fact what you should do is step back and kind of think about the bigger shape. So you can imagine that all of this is like a big shape. I'm going to use a soft round brush to kind of establish first where the basic shadows and highlights are supposed to go. Taking this color, make it darker to create some shadows, and painting under it here in the crevasse of the neck, for example, as it goes under and stuff. That's going to help me. Also, there is a clear cast shadow that I'm missing, and it's the one from the hat. This one is going to go across the face. So I'm going to have to go over everything right here. I might just, create a new layer here with a harder edge. And I'm going to take this color and make it maybe slightly darker and in multiply. Now, why am I taking this color? Because you have to think that lighting is also in the shadows. And the one that's in the shadows, it's usually the ambient light. And the ambient light is usually the light that bounces around the environment. Like if you're looking at my camera right now, the tiny square that I am in, there's a lot of purple. That's my ambient light. Then I have a key light right here in my face. And my shadows are actually purple. They're not black, right? So that's the same kind of principle here, except that I have this color, beige color, at the background. So that's why I'm going to have this kind of cast shadow of the hat as the color of the background. So all I did was really just to kind of paint one line, and I'm going to delete everything else that doesn't have to be there right here. Same thing here. I just want it in the hair. So there's the cast shadow there. That already creates a little bit more volume to it all. So that's pretty great. Let's see. Now from there, I mean, hair, I'm going to have techniques for hair later this week. So I might not just go into details for now. I think what I wanted to teach, I already teach. So how to basically add basic form. I'm going to do the same thing later on, which, I can do it now. I'm going to do the same thing with the birds. You have to think also about something. The one mistakes that I see a lot of beginners doing when they're painting from imagination, lighting, is their value range is too big. What do I mean? Let me put all of this in black and white to give you an example. And then I'm going to create a quick over-the-top value range here. I'm going to create, I'll make two value range. I'm going to just create like two white bars. Okay, so a value range basically says that it goes from, whoops, am I on the right place? It goes, what's happening? Where am I? Okay, that's why. No, what is this? Oh, that's why. Okay. It goes from, let's say, white to black, and then in the middle you have some gray, maybe some pale gray here. And so this, I'm gonna try to just kind of create like a little bit more values here. So you have like a clear example, something that goes from dark to something like that. All right, so we have, I'll just duplicate this one. So this is a full value range, right? Now, if I were to paint this value range on everything, things will always look shiny, and things are not always shiny, right? For example, the hat here. The hat, you see the highlight, the difference between this highlight and the shadow, it's very close to each other on the value scale. For example, if I were to check the value scale, you would probably have the value of my hat is about this. Right, that's the flow. The value of my hat is about this, and the highlight might be that, right? But sometimes the mistakes that I see from beginners is they would be like, all right, so this is my value for my hat, and I'm going to put highlight, so I'm obviously going to take with white. And that's a mistake, right? So every different texture and every different element will have a different value range. This is a value range that is, this is a value range that is complete from white to black, but the hat is not a full value range. Every element, like the bell, for example, the belt buckle here, that thing is, how do I do this? That thing is probably in need of some more bright yellow highlights where the value range will probably go a little bit more intense, right? Because this is metal, right? So just to give you an example here. So now I put it back. See, this is going up to white almost, right? If I want to have the right, the right microphone is in front of my stuff, the right value range. I want to see if I can just kind of modify that a little bit, just so it looks better. But there, you know, I think even there, I think the value range is a bit too intense. I would probably prefer to have something that's a little bit more toned down. Something like this, right? So the contrast is not as impressive. Okay, so hopefully this is a concept that you guys now understand a little bit better. Once again, I have that and a lot more in the Academy. So if you haven't joined yet, there's a link in the description here for you to save money, but also to see what's in this, because there's so much more than this. So what do we do? I'm probably going to change the color of the buckle later on. For now, I'm not going to touch it, but can you see that it really it pops too much? It's either I'm going to add more of that color or I'm going to modify the color later. But for now, let's just continue with the birds. I was about to do the birds, and then my attention went towards value scale, just for you to understand, because that's the thing. I want to add on black object especially, I want the value range usually to be kind of close-ish. So these are the birds. I'm going to create a top layer, attach it to it. I'm going to use a hard edge brush here maybe to just kind of understand. So you have like a bit of cast shadow here, a little bit of cast shadow on the side here. I might have just kind of, and I might use a soft round brush to kind of round it up just a tiny bit. Just trying to create some volume here. I would probably go with my reference later. My reference pictures to kind of see how I can add more realism to it. But for now, it's just kind of a question of adding that basic light. So the kind of simplified shape. Always simplify those shapes to cubes, spheres, cylinders, cones. Those kind of shape will help you later on to establish more volume on them and more form, and then you can add some more details with more complex rendering. But for now, just add some volume. I guess I know I'm going to do some more hair later on, but I could just add real quick, take that here and kind of, am I at the right place though? Yeah, add some basic kind of separation in between the locks. to kind of mimic that there's some that are overlay on top of each other. And obviously when they're overlay on top of each other, that will create some more cast shadows at these places, right? And then in between, what you'll have highlights, right? Which no matter how you stylize them, the idea will be the same. I'm just gonna kind of, whoops, what am I doing? Oh, there we go. No, that's not happening. What am I doing here? That's why I'm on that layer. That's why. I'm going to add a layer just for the highlight. And that's the same thing. I'm not going to go pure white, because if I go pure white, it's just going to look too much. And then just, yeah, adding those kind of highlights at a few places. Now, this is like done fast and all, but hopefully this is enough for you to understand what I'm trying to establish. Now, I'll be adding more of these details and kind of render it later, but it's already getting there. You see some volume to it, which is pretty great. So in a minute, I'm going to stop doing that, guys, and I'm going to put all my attention towards the chat. If you have any questions about things that I showed today, things about the class, things about the bundle, things about digital painting that you want to ask me, anything goes. I'll be with you for the rest of the hours, and we'll be doing this session all week long. Today we're finishing, or pushing the witch. Tomorrow we're starting a new character. We'll do a vampire. I'm probably going to show you some things about anatomy, because I'm going to change the mouth to show the fangs. So that's going to be fun. And so that's the idea with every live that we're doing. I want to kind of teach you some complementary skills that can help you with your portrait that are not necessarily taught in the course. Probably should have said that at the beginning. But yeah, you guys spread the word. If you want to learn more, be sure to be there with me, or to watch the replays. That works as well. I know people are busy. It might be super early for some of you guys. Thank you so much for being there. I really appreciate it. So yeah, I think I'm going to leave it at that. There's definitely some work to be done. I'm also will want to kind of add the same kind of texture that I have on the portrait. As you can see, there's like, it's very patchy with the way I place the values. I'm probably going to try to add some of that in the illustration. But for now, I'm pretty happy with it. You let me know what you think in the chat. And so, yeah, let me put my attention back towards you guys. Just say a big hi. Hi. So yeah, if you have questions now, please put a capital Q in front of it. Question about anything goes. I'll be super happy to answer all of them. While you put your first question and the little delay that we have is going on, I'll try to see if there's something in the chat already that I can't answer. I'm seeing a few of you guys there, so thank you so much for being live with me, guys. I appreciate it. Thank you, Snow. Thank you so much for the compliment. I appreciate it. Snow says that he loves these OWP, which is great. It's one of my favorite challenges to do, period. I just love this challenge. And the way the community always goes together also, it's very, very nice. So there's some chatting. Some chatting. Once again, if you have a question, put a capital Q in front of it. This is going to help me so much to be able to not have to read the conversation that you guys have in between each other, which is awesome, but I get lost in the details. I see Lola talking about the hairstyle with style, which is another challenge that we usually do. We didn't do it this year. There was a lot happening this year, but the hairstyle with style challenge is one that we love to do at Paintable. I love to do as well, so that might come back eventually. And Cedric says, I would look forward to the rest of the week as well. But yeah, I'm hoping you guys will be there all week long. Seriously, I'm going to try to teach you a little bit more every day. So really these sessions are really kind of extra curriculum kind of thing for you to learn even more. For everybody that's joining, you had the perfect time to ask questions. I kind of already push the illustration. So if you missed it, you'll be able to see it during the replay. But if you have a question now, put a capital Q in front of it. I'll be more than happy to answer any question. And Chiki says, love the witch. I know. We were under the impression that between the three characters that I would do, the most popular would be the witch, vampire, and demon. Let me know which one you prefer in the chat. I'm actually curious to know. Chenge, first question. On a scale from 1 to, oh my God, how difficult is it to paint in live camera? I'm not gonna lie, Chenge, it's a skill that needs to be acquired. It's also because when you're on camera and you teach, like I'm doing right now, it's kind of important to not only paint and show the stuff, but also keep the conversation going. And I think that's the hard part for me, to basically talk nonstop. I'm not that much of a chatter, guys. If you see me in reality, I love to talk, but I'm not the most chatty person. But when in camera, I want to make sure that people are communicating with me. So it's to repeat all the time that you guys can ask me questions as much as you want, until the questions are coming in. And now I have a new question from Carl that says, you did a mostly realistic color in this piece. Do you have any thoughts on choosing a color scheme to boost a spooky mood, even not 100% realistic? Absolutely. You know what? Now that you say that, it gives me an idea. Let me just jump back here. What I could do on this piece that I haven't done yet is to add another light source, right? Now, the fact that the background is pale is going to make things a little bit more complicated. You already saw probably the pumpkin that we did, the pumpkin challenge that we did 2 weeks ago. I added a light source to it that was kind of a greenish light source, or even the zombie that I did, right? I was a greenish light source. So it's harder for those things, but if you want to do like a poppy color, that's one thing that you could do. With Photoshop here, I'm just going to add like a layer here. I'm going to put the layer to overlay. I'm going to put the color, I don't know, like a bright pink maybe could work here. Let's see. Just going to put like a bright pink color here on the background. And then I could, on another layer, kind of think about having some sort of a rim light, that goes in the object. And then that would give, I guess it would still be realistic theoretically, because I'm trying to, follow the rules of light, but it would be just a way to add a splash of color, basically. Now I'm doing a terrible fast job at it all, just to give you kind of an example real quick, but that's probably one thing that I could do if I wanted to add a splash of colors. I don't know if you meant like just toned down colors, like they're very like earthy and fall looking, but if you want something splashy, that's definitely one way to do it. Once again, that would be something that you would learn in the academy. Just learning the basic understanding on how to apply light from imagination, you'll be able to add a light source like this. So yeah, let me go back to the big camera. Hello. So yeah, great question. Thanks. Lola says, I'm painting a vampire, so I'm excited to see your approach. You're planning for the fangs on a regular portrait. Yes. So, that brings me back to like about, I want to say a couple of months ago when I did the expression challenge in the community. I also created a DPA module about facial expression. It's one of the subjects that a lot of students in the DPA wanted to learn, so I was happy to do it. And I learned a ton about it, how the muscles are pulling the face to create the smiles, and to see the fangs, I'm going to probably have to put a smile on the portrait. So it's really to modify not only the mouth, but the muscles around it, such as the nose that kind of lift up, and even sometimes the ears and the eyes. Everything goes up because of it. And so learning those things is super, super interesting and super important if you want to be able to change the mouth, like I'm going to do probably tomorrow. So that's just kind of a heads up for everybody. So I'm going to say a little bit of anatomy tomorrow, how to change the mouth and the facial expression. That's going to be super interesting. Forever Zero Dragon says, can we post our progress any day until Sunday? Sunday would be the final version of the painting, right? Yes, absolutely. What I do is encourage you to post every day. Not only that's going to help you to have more entrants to win the prizes, but also you have to see this challenge as not be just a place that you can, drop whatever art to win a prize. Obviously, if you win the prize, this is awesome, but the real goal of this challenge is for you to progress into your portrait, and asking for feedback and just having that habit of posting every day will not only help you with confidence, but also getting some feedback will help you with getting better at it. You know, there's that misconception that people think that their peers of the same level, so other artists of the same level, or even sometimes under level, some people that are less good than them, cannot give them good feedback. And that's a misbelief, guys. Feedback is all about being able to give a critique that is constructive for the artist to see the mistakes that he oversaw, because sometimes when you look at your painting, you don't see all the things that you need to fix. And so it's just a way to kind of help the artist to be like, have another pair of eyes on their work, right? So when you have someone in the community give you feedback, guys, the right way to approach this is to first say thank you, because they don't have to do it. And secondly is to apply to the best of your knowledge the corrections that are needed. And if you don't know how to do them, then find answers to that. But really, if you get feedback, critiques all week long and do nothing with it, you'll have a missed opportunity here to actually grow faster, right? The difference between an artist that reached their goal within a few months versus a few years is because they are doing that work of trying to fix the things that obviously they oversaw or are not able to do yet. That's why the community is so important, guys. If you're part of the tribe, we have a dedicated channel for the challenge right now that you can put your stuff. And once this is over, that channel goes away. But we have multiple channels to ask for feedback and do even self critiques of your work, which is super encouraged. So yeah, that was a long answer, I guess, but the answer was yes, absolutely. Snow says, when using the hashtag or just the pound on Instagram, is it 1 week portrait or capital 1 week portrait? I don't think putting capitals on any hashtag makes any difference. The reason why we do it is just so you're able to read the words, because sometimes when you have a very long hashtag like 1 week portrait, multiple words, you may not read it properly. So putting the capital letters in front of each word helps you to read it. But that's really the only reason. There is no such thing as putting capitals. So to your questions, it makes no difference as long as you spell 1 week portrait correctly, obviously, which you did. I'm just saying that's the one thing that could go wrong. And I see Lola that says exactly that. So yes, it's exactly that. What challenge? Amza, what challenge? How did you find this live? We are doing the 1 week portrait challenge right now. You'll find all the info for everything, plus the promotion that we have in the description of this live. But in a nutshell, we are doing a portrait within 1 week only. It's called the 1 week portrait. It started on Monday. It's not too late to participate, but theoretically we are Wednesday in most places right now. So you would have the rest of the week to do the portrait. We have prices. All of this info is going to be on the registration page, which I believe there's a link also in the description. So go check it out, absolutely. So far, I did a zombie. I did, what did I do? I did a zombie. I did a Frankenstein monster. I did a werewolf. Now I'm finishing a witch, which let's show it to everybody. I'm doing a witch. And tomorrow I'll start a vampire, and over the weekend a demon. And I haven't found what I'm going to do for Halloween. If you guys have any requests, I think I heard Medusa somewhere. Let me know in the chat. What do you want me to do on the 31st for Halloween? It should finish with a bang, I guess, right? So yeah, I'll take all and every suggestion that you guys have. Surya says, it's a good wish, which, nice, love it. Well, thank you so much. So yeah. So I asked this question earlier. I don't know if anybody answered, but which one do you think is the most popular between a witch, a vampire, and a demon? I'm actually curious. Hamza says, I watched all your videos, but didn't know about the challenge. Wow, I'm so sorry. You know what? It happens every year, believe it or not. And it's crazy because all over Instagram, our mailing lists, we are sending a bunch of emails. I mean, even some people are going back to us sometimes and saying like, I'm tired of your emails. And the reason why I email so much, it's because every year I got people like you, unfortunately, that totally miss it. And it's a shame, but you know what? You cut off on time. You still have plenty of time to participate. Aguiana says demon. All right, awesome. As I said, I was one of the who suggested Medusa. Really, you were? Oh, that's awesome. You know what? I like the idea. I gotta say, there's something to do with those snake hair. Lola says a ghost, half translucent person. That would be a challenge for me for sure. I don't know how I would put that out. I would have to practice before, I think. Dan says, is there a longer version of the zombie process? That's something that I could probably put somewhere at some point. I don't have it right now to be watched, but I do have the footage. I would just have to put it together. So maybe if there's something that I have like a little bit more requests, I can either put it on YouTube or maybe as just a perk when you join the DPA. Or you get the One Week Portrait Challenge Zombie Edition. Carl, you said you missed the Frankenstein monster. It's on YouTube. It's probably somewhere. I did 3 transformation. They are short videos, few minutes only, where I show you how to transform completely them. We use them as advertisement for people to actually see. See, there's another place that we advertise for the challenge, and looks like we're missing some people still. Chinky says ghost. That's a good idea. I'm very scared of this one, guys. I'm not sure I would be able to actually put it out. Justin says, Justin, should I say, says demon, witch, vampire. Every girl on Instagram wants to be a witch. You'll get viewed hairs. Yeah, that was my thinking. I would assume so. And also, there's so many great character design that are witch. Like if you make a research on Pinterest, there's so many great ones. It's impressive. Priya says, my grandson Canon, who is watching this, wants to know if an 8 years old could start digital painting on Photoshop. Absolutely can. Absolutely. Any software really. I've been playing with a very small tablet for years. I'm probably going to get a bigger one very soon, which I'm pretty excited. I'll have a whole video about this. I have an iPad as well. You don't need Photoshop necessarily. There's so many places you can go. If you do the website, Paintable, maybe Chenge, if you're there, is still with me, you can put that. If you go over paintable.cc/ I believe it's called resource or resources, you'll have an entire page of software you can use, tablets you can use, just suggestion, as well as a few beginners class to help you start. We have the ultimate beginners class that is for free at all time for everybody that wants to start. Chefogan says vampire because I learned on that for this challenge. Yes, I believe that. Also vampire, I think it's really popular. I saw a lot of vampire action in the community now that I remember it. Partial to zombie. Some years ago, I would say vampire, but it's more popular because of the Twilight nowadays, which is right. So there's a whole like Twilight thing. I didn't watch that, to be honest. Lola says, I mean, scary holo Seren would be awesome too. That's very true. That's very true. There's something about like Seren. Okay, all right. Nisa says, I started digital painting, digital illustration last year. Well, congrats. Congrats. It's never too late to start. I started myself when I was 30, by the way, if everybody wants to know. So we have, in the DPA, in the Digital Painting Academy, we have students that are like 50 plus as well. It's just never too late. Justin, and yes, character. So you're supposed to pronounce it Justin? All right, so that sounds good. And yes, character design with demon and witches are almost endless. Vampire tend to just wear old clothing and mostly black. And, I guess you're right. All right, you guys. All right. Thank you, Chenke. So Chenke put the Digital Painting Ultimate Beginner's Guide. That's a guide that you'll have plenty of material to learn from in there. All right, you guys. It's been about an hour. I'm probably going to let you go. If you have any question, shoot them now. Put a capital Q in front of it. But otherwise, I'll be there tomorrow. I'm probably going to work on that witch a little bit more tomorrow. Try to push it. My goal is not to make a completely over the board rendered stuff, but just to kind of finish the portrait a little bit. Tomorrow I want to start a new one. We'll do the vampire do some anatomy, paint some fangs, some mouth anatomy, which is always complicated with the teeth. I'll try to give you my best tips on how to do so, how to make it not too complicated so you can do it as well. We'll have 2 days of this as usual. So I'm going to try to teach you, like I was saying, some complementary things. And so, yeah, thank you so much for everybody that joined. Always appreciate to have you live, guys. And if you're watching the replay, looking forward to see you live tomorrow, maybe. And once again, if you have any questions about the DPA, about the challenge, about the offer, everything is in the description. We have almost 70% off a giant bundle with 3 classes, a whole year in the DPA, the One Week Portrait Challenge Masterclass that you'll have for life, not just a week, for life, as well as the Perfect Portrait Foundation. All of this, all the info in the description. So yeah, I don't see any questions. So I'll let you guys go. Looking forward to talk to you guys tomorrow. Have a good Wednesday. Happy painting. Enjoy the challenge. Keep posting. I want to see more posts. And yeah, have a good one, guys.